Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be possibly the shortest monthly reading wrap up that I have ever done, because despite all of the opportunities that I had to read in the month of September with all the travelling that I was doing, I only managed to finish 2 books in September. And there is room for argument that the main book that I read, which was Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, should technically be classed as 3 books because it is over 900 pages long, but we will get onto that in due course. So yes, September, I managed to read 2 books. One of those was an audiobook, and that was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, narrated by Eddie Redmayne, and I listened to this on the aeroplane going out to Chicago, and I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more because Eddie Redmayne was the narrator, because it's not actually that interesting a book. It's basically a list of all the magical creatures which feature in the world of Harry Potter, and so although it was sort of educational, it wasn't particularly a typical story. So yeah, that was the first book that I read, and then as I mentioned, the other book that I read in the month of September was The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, and this is book 2 in Robin Hobb's Live Ship Traders trilogy, and this is over 900 pages long. It's also the second book, so it's really difficult to talk about it without spoiling anything or running the risk of spoiling anything, but I just adored this. For me, it's not as good as her Farseer books, but there are just so many things to love about this. I love her strong character development. I love that in this particular trilogy we seem to have a lot of strong and kick-ass female characters, which you don't often see in fantasy books. The length doesn't, I mean, I go on and on about how long they are, but actually once you're into the book and reading it, it really doesn't seem like it's that long a book, because you just get completely swept up into the world that she has created. And having read some of her other books and being able to put the events that are taking place in this book alongside those books in a timeline, it's just so clever. She's just a master storyteller, and I am absolutely loving this trilogy, and I cannot wait to pick up the final book. And actually I feel like I want to go back and maybe read the books in order, because I read the Farseer trilogy and then I read the Tawny Man and then I read Fitz and the Fool, and these books come after the Farseer trilogy and before Tawny Man, and I almost feel like it might enhance my reading experience if I go back to the beginning and read them all in the order that she wrote them. But because they are all so massive, and her other trilogies are no different when it comes to size, I'm not quite sure when I might be able to do that. But anyway, loved this book. Despite the fact that it was the only real book that I read this month, I loved it. And if you haven't picked up any Robin Hobb, then you absolutely should. And then I think one of the reasons that I didn't read anything else in the month of September was because the next book that I picked up is one that I am still plodding my way through, and that is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. And I had really high hopes for this book, but I wonder if picking it up after Robin Hobb's writing and then trying to jump into this has just given me a little bit of a reading slump, because I loved Twilight. I binge read Twilight, I adored it. I know that it's kind of trashy and some people look down on it, but I really enjoyed reading it. The series is not a literary masterpiece, but just as an enjoyable read goes, I really rated it. And so I had really high hopes for this. I'd heard that it was different, but I've heard so many people say that it was so much better, and I've just really struggled. I'm probably about halfway through now, and I'm just plodding through it. There is nothing really in this story that is gripping me. There is nothing that is hooking me to the storyline in the same way that I found with Mad Ship. And there have honestly been a number of times when I've thought to myself that I could put this book down and just walk away, and for me that's so unusual, because I always have to finish a book. Even if I'm absolutely hating a story, I have to finish it to see if it redeems itself or to see how it ends, and I've just not felt that with this book at all. I felt like I could walk away from it and not even be able to tell you what it's about. But if you don't know, the basic premise is that there is a race of aliens who have basically invaded Earth, and they are like parasites, and they attach into a human body. They need a human body to be able to live, and they get inserted, and then the person who it is, their soul, departs, and the new soul takes over the host body. And we follow the story of one soul who is implanted into a host, but that host has not left, and there's kind of a battle between the two for who's going to be dominant, and the soul ends up going to the place where the host is from. And that's kind of the premise. Because I've heard so many people say good things about it, I really want to get to the end, but it's just taking me such a long time, and I really wonder if maybe I should put it down, pick up something not so fantasy based, and then come back to it at a later point. But honestly, I just don't know. If you've read it and you think that the end redeems the rest of the story, then let me know, because yeah, I just don't know whether it's worth keeping on going for another 200 pages or so, or whether I should just put it down and walk away. And then the other book that I'm listening to at the moment is Anne of Green Gables, and I have never ever read Anne of Green Gables. And you'll know that recently I went to Chicago and I met up with Katie and a couple of other lovely booktubers, and Katie loves Anne of Green Gables and she has mentioned it countless times on her channel. So when it came up on Audible on offer, I thought, what the heck, I will just go ahead and listen to it. So I'm not very far in, but I am really enjoying it at the moment, and it's just something that I put on when I'm doing some housework and I listen to it. So I'm not sure that I'll necessarily even finish it in October, but I am enjoying it so far, and that is pretty much it. If I do put down the host and walk away, in fact, whether I finish the host or whether I put it down and walk away, there are a number of other books that I want to get to ASAP, and I mentioned a lot of them in the most recent TBR video that I filmed, which I will stick in the description box down below. But that is pretty much it. I realised that it's not the most interesting reading wrap up that I've ever done, but hopefully by the end of this month I will have something more exciting to share with you. So for now, thank you for watching. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you all soon.